This is Tracy from RX Performance Rev Extreme. We're going to be releasing a series of how-to videos on crankcase evacuation, intake valve coking, and the proper installation of the RX oil separating catch can systems. Good morning. Today we have a 2014 Stingray Z51 wet sump car here. We've got the owner Matt that has brought his car down. We're going to do a catch can install, the RX system, which is going to correct the oil ingestion both on the dirty side and from the wet sump burping. And also we're going to take the time while we have it here, we're going to go in with the borescope and we're going to see at the mileage this car has just how much oil is puddling inside the intake runners, and hopefully get down into the intake valve so we can get a clear view of the intake valve coking. And how many miles do we have on this, Matt?
5,500 miles.
So 5,500 miles. The most we've looked at one so far has been around 3,200 miles as far as the LT1. We've seen some trucks that have been more. And we're going to walk you through both the installation and what to look for your oil ingestion. We're going to want to remove the air intake bridge here, or dam, and there are 4 bolts, a 9/32 socket will fit them, even though they are metric. So we're going to go ahead and start removing this. Okay, the LT1 wet or dry sump Z51 has 2 sources of fresh filtered intake air coming in. This is known as the clean or the fresh side. This line right here is going to go over to the dry sump tank. This is where most of the oil ingestion is coming in that burps from the dry sump tank. That happens for 2 reasons. The most obvious is the tank being overfilled from the factory, and the second obvious is the PCV system will only evacuate when there's vacuum present in the intake manifold. And that vacuum is only going to be present, up until say 3/4 of a throttle. After that, then we have a one-way check valve that is going to close, that comes in the Gen 5s 2014 and up V8s with GM, and crankcase pressure builds. When that crankcase pressure builds to a certain point, it will push and burp that oil out the dry sump into the air box. So when we take this apart, most likely this is going to be full of quite a bit of oil, maybe only a couple ounces. On average, we see a 1/2 quart or more, and that's the oil you do not want ingested. So to remove this, we have a quick release. You simply press this tab and pull straight up, and we're going to do this on both sides here, and as you can see how easily that just pops right off. So for now, we're going to pop this off this side. We're going to do the same here and pop this off this side. And we recommend that these be set aside and saved by the owner in the event that they would wish to put it back to stock sometime in the future. So we're going to have both of these clean side lines coming out, and as we can look inside there, which you probably can't see, we can see that's saturated in oil already, and on both sides. So we're going to remove the air bridge between the air filter box and the throttle body to not only examine it for pooled and puddled oil, but to clean that oil out of it. And that is just 2 screw clamps here. We're going to take and we're going to just wipe and show you that we have quite a bit of oil saturation that is getting through the dirty side, which would be the same as the Z52 wet sump, because we're only dealing with the PCV, the dirty, or as it's known, the foul side. We're also going to clean all aspects because we don't want this carbon and soot buildup here. Even though this is only 5,000 miles, as that raises, it creates a ridge which disrupts the air as it transitions off of idle and will create a stumble or a hesitation and a little bit of a rough idle. So to get the rest of this, I'm going to get some brake clean.
And I drive it pretty hard too. I mean, that was my big concern was
and this is going to help us remove those deposits. As you can see, brake clean alone does a good job. You can use MAF and throttle body cleaner, that'll work. But we've taken off quite a bit here. And this is pretty much get it off of both sides. And we're looking at it pretty much as clean as it would have been from the factory, so we're not going to have to worry about a stumble or any disruption in the transition from idle to acceleration. We're going to set this aside now. Look in. Okay, can you see the puddle of oil down in? There's a big puddle in one of the ridges, one of the little depressions there. Here, you take that so you can get as clear of a view as you can. And then look further back into it yet. This isn't just a light coating, this is puddled saturation. What we're going to do here is we're going to mount the long L bracket to mount the catch can to. And if we look at the front of the cylinder head, we're going to see there's a number of unused threaded bolt holes. We're going to use the third hole down. The top one is not threaded. The second one is an M8. We're including an M10. So we're going to, with the included bolt, we're going to attach the bracket using that unused threaded third hole down. Okay, we've got enough movement here to give us room so we're not in contact with anything, the ABS module or the cylinder head of the engine. We're going to be using the 2 bottom holes in the can bracket. Okay, now what we've done is we've measured approximately 8 inches is going to bring the PCV barb to the center of the can. So now we have the dirty side complete. We're now going to, with the primary outlet, we're going to go up into the vacuum barb on the intake manifold itself. And that is going to have a one-way check valve because we do not want to have any reversion or backflow. So we're going to cut a slide on our length of hose firmly. We're going to attach AN fitting that already has the check valve in place. And we're going to bring it around and measure, and we're going to cut here as well.
You can just pull the hose out.
Okay. And we're going to attach this to this barb. And we have completed the primary outlet evacuation. So now that we've tightened, we don't want to torque it too tight, just nice, even, snug. That'll seal, everything is fine. We've connected to our primary outlet using the intake manifold for evacuation when you're at idle part throttle, and the intake manifold vacuum is sufficient to evacuate the crankcase and maintain flow in the proper direction, so we're not putting excess pressure into the dry sump oil tank. Okay, the final thing we're going to do is, when you're at wide open throttle and there is no suction available from the intake manifold, we don't want crankcase pressure to build and then seek the path of least resistance, which would be burping out into your air bridge. So we have a one-way check valve flowing away. We've got it already in a pre-cut length. It's going to go on here, and we're going to drill into the flexible coupler with a 3/8 inch drill bit that is not going to leave in any debris that will affect anything. We're going to push this in simply like that. We're going to screw this into place. And that looks like it was put there from the factory. We're going to snug this up. Again, don't over tighten. We just want to be able to snug it so there's no vacuum leaks. Okay. And we're not using the third clean side separator because we didn't detect any oil getting in here. If we are getting oil in here on other ones, then we have a push-on clean side separator that would go here and replace this line that will trap the oil here. So now we've taken everything is together and we're good to go.